This is a weird situation, so bear with me. A couple of weeks ago, I posted on Twitter related to a finding on SteamDB for a new Steam game called the Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection. Obviously, it's very easy to put up a fake Steam game that can be found by SteamDB and then make the rounds in the game journalist circles. We have seen things like Left 4 Dead 3 and Half-Life 3 appear that have absolutely no bearing in reality. The Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection, however, is a legitimate thing. It's being headed by a person named McVicker. For those unaware, McVicker was the same person that headed up the Half-Life 2 update project that released back in 2015, a Valve-sanctioned Half-Life 2 remaster created by third-party developers in order to bring Half-Life 2, then running on the Orange Box version of the Source Engine, into, I think, Source Engine 2013, or one of those. It should also be stated that Source Engine as we know it is actually a massive collection of many different engines. Source Engine in general has evolved with each major game Valve released for it, and because of that, there can be major disparities in both feature sets and capabilities between different engine types. So you have Source Engine 06, 07, 2013, CSGO, Portal 2, etc, etc, etc. The Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection is not a port of Half-Life 2 and its episodes to Source 2. It is a port to the CSGO engine. McVicker is what's called a licensee, or a license holder, effectively meaning that Valve has given this person the ability to create and release whatever they want using their own IP, assets, files, and source code on the Source Engine. This is a difficult thing to get, or at least it was. That's a whole other argument. But what needs to be stated is that what happened with Half-Life 2 Update is happening again, and Valve is all for it. But what happened following the initial tweet I made on the project was a lot of different people making assumptions with no real information that absolutely have no bearing on reality whatsoever. So let's pull those expectations back a little bit and explain everything that I was able to learn related to the Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection after communicating with some of the people behind it. The Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection, as I've said, is running on the CSGO branch of Source Engine. This is not Source 2, however, it is the most up-to-date version of Source that you can get, including Source 2's own UI called Panorama. This will allow for significantly more to be done with both the user interface and heads-up display when playing Half-Life 2. Most of the graphical features, such as CSM, are going to be brought over wholesale to these remastered collections. And after speaking to Philip in particular, it's come to my attention that although one of the main purposes of this collection is to bring Half-Life 2 and its episodes up to the most modern standards that you can possibly do without completely remaking the game, but it's also meant to be a hub for the decades worth of modding content that has existed on Source Engine, specifically the Half-Life related content. The Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection is meant to have built-in workshop support, and that workshop support will allow for anything that you can think of. Model replacements, gameplay enhancements, entire map packs, entire total conversions, all hosted within one place and all playable in any possibly compatible configuration through this hub. All of this, of course, built off of the best looking official version of Half-Life 2 and its episodes. Now, this isn't a remake. I've heard word from the developers that the assets are either being touched up or some of them remade entirely. However, some people are comparing this to Black Mesa. This is absolutely not that. This is still Valve's game being touched up using anything possible. Full SDK is planned on being pushed, but again, this may be a little while out. The Half-Life 2 Remastered Collection is an interesting beast. For anybody that is wondering why Source 2 hasn't been picked for this situation, it's just because unless things were remade from scratch, it would pretty much look identical. A lot more work would need to be done, and that's not the purpose of this project. More information is to come soon, but of the conversations I was able to have with Philip and a few of the other people responsible for this project, it seems as if it's coming along swimmingly, and it also seems as if a lot of the audience expectations when given the phrase Half-Life 2 Remastered Collections were way out of line. The main purpose here is the SDK and workshop support that will fully integrate any mods that modders allow to be used on this workshop. That's what I'm most excited for. And of course, I'll be reporting on it whenever I get more legitimate information from Philip and his team. And thankfully, Valve is all for this happening. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker. I hope you have a good day. Please get vaccinated. Adios.